gave Andy the timeline. And he
Place to visit in the winter.
said, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Everybody's like.
That's enough to warn anything down, and they're white knuckles.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, we're gonna call the Columbia County Land Bank meeting to order. We need a roll call
Chairman Morrell,
here.
Ron Knapp,
Here.
PJ Keeler,
Here.
Brenda Adams,
here,
Suzette Bowie is absent, Patrice Perry,
here,
Chris Watts.
here.
There's a quorum.
Okay. We need approval of the January minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, Brenda. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, policies. Additions.
Yeah, so that's a lot in this packet. I will say, all right, so these are the last 5 policies that are required for ABO compliance. ABO compliance really has to be done by the end of March, so if there's anything in here that you want to pull out and table for the next meeting, just know that we have to approve it at the next meeting. We might want to do that for procurement, because I have some specific questions about that for PJ and Chris. The rest are taken from different land banks around the count or around the state, excuse me, rural land banks. So these are Livingston County, Essex County, took a lot from theirs. Are there any specific questions about any of these policies? Disposition is a little bit different than the county's disposition because land banks do have that enforcement note, which basically allows you to call properties back if whoever you sell the property to doesn't do what they said they were going to do. That's the biggest difference, I think, in the disposition.
So I had a question on the, about the annual report. Is that gonna be a calendar year? And do we have to prepare that report within a certain number of days of the end of the calendar year?
Yes, within 90 days of the end of the calendar year. So ABO timing is, and we have a little flexibility here because I actually have an email chain from the ABO. They sent emails to the wrong parties instead of the people that were identified as these little folks that are your contact folks. So there's a little, I wouldn't say wiggle room, but some forgiveness, I would say. The budget is meant to be sent in within 60 days before the end of your fiscal year. Our fiscal year is December 31st. We didn't hit that deadline,
This
but
year.
they're okay with that.
Right.
Everything else, except for the budget, is within 90 days of the end of the fiscal year. So that's that end of March timeline.
So going forward, they need to have our budget by the
Like
end of
November
October.
1, yeah.
Right.
And then everything else they can get at the end of March.
Okay. And I felt like I missed a chapter under buyer qualifications. It looks as if that's written for individuals as opposed to LLCs or not-for-profits. And is that, did I miss something? Qualified buyers with a residency requirement?
That's if you're selling it directly to a homeowner, yeah. So if the land bank ever acquired a property and then rehabbed it with a partner and then sold it directly to a homeowner, that's when that would kick in.
So these qualifications are only directly to a homeowner, they don't affect a not-for-profit or a LLC.
That's right.
So should it be titled that? I mean, to me, that's
I can do that.
confusing, because wouldn't most of our customers be LLCs or not-for-profit?
For us, they should mostly be not-for-profits, I believe. So home buyer qualifications, just add the word home to the
I
front.
think so,
Okay,
I think it'd be clear. I think that was it for that one.
Before you go too far away on that one, I just wanted to clarify, under that same section 5(2). The first line says the property owner by the applicant has been foreclosed, you couldn't have been foreclosed on for tax delinquency. Is there any time frame to that? Do we want to say never been, or in the last year or 5 years, or? We clarify that, I don't know if that's.
I'm sorry, I'm sure I'll find it. Okay.
page 4 of that policy. So it's no.
It says an applicant is disqualified if the property owner by the applicant has been foreclosed upon for tax delinquency, which I agree with in general. I just didn't know if we clarified that. Chris, you got any input on that? Should it say as a legal matter? Should it have a time frame? That just sounds open-ended, like you could say, well, I was foreclosed on, but that was 2 years ago and doesn't count now.
Well, but it should, in a sense, if people have a
History.
history, exactly.
Yeah, I don't really.
So if we want it to be never, then we should be clear and say never, or, you know.
We could, if you wanna do more of a catch-all.
But I don't know
Because
how
there is
you define
nothing in
that.
here, you can't petition, right? So if you're a prospective buyer and you want to purchase land bank property and you were disqualified by any of these things. There is no recourse currently under this policy, we could add. Some,
I like that better.
yeah, we could, so that way it's a case by case basis instead of. You're fully disqualified if any of these
Okay,
5, 6 things are true, 5 things. Or we could just have it, because that's what, land banks are basically built to take foreclosed properties and put them back on the tax.
No. I agree, but again, I think, we were trying to disqualify them because of previous foreclosure, I guess.
I mean, so.
That's how the wording was, and
No, yeah,
I don't disagree with that, but then the way I read it, I didn't
We've
know.
been doing this for a while in terms of the
How it applies.
foreclosure sales. Can you think of any example where that would have presented itself?
What comes to my mind, there are people who have, for example, been deeded or given because of their family landlocked property. That is absolutely no use to them whatsoever. So they'll let it go for taxes because they don't want it anymore.
Right,
I mean, does that count against them?
Well, isn't there another way to dispose of it?
I mean, once it's landlocked, most people aren't gonna buy it, it's just gonna sit there. Most of the time.
I know a case, a particular case where they have more than the resources to pay, but they said, why?
right,
Why would
yeah,
I do
I
that?
don't want it, so I'm gonna just let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, but then,
See, I would go to my neighbor and say.
well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna absorb my parcel for
right.
Has the
for a
county
dollar
ever
sale.
foreclosed on a property owner and it was news to the property owner that they owned that property?
Yes,
Okay, then that. This makes this kind of problem, so maybe we just have the outlet of. We'll just create a way to petition these things.
So if have some discretion, so if there's a reason to make an exception, we have that ability to do so.
I think that'll have to be its own, well, we'll just go at the end of this.
I mean, if you were a chronic, somebody that always let your property go and you let it go more or less on purpose, and then why should you qualify to get another one, I kind of agree with this thought, but Matt brings up a good point that somebody could be in that for a different reason, but
Yeah,
all decisions, though.
so I guess we'll pull that one out. And then we can do the rest consent for.
Basically, there's a lot of stuff in there, I get it, but it's, mostly good,
No, I think it's always good to have that flexibility of, if there's a special case, if there's no mechanism lined up for special cases and that person's just out of luck.
So landlocked parcels would have been created before zoning laws, right? Because zoning laws prohibit landlocked parcels, so they're old.
it should be, but.
yeah, in theory, yes, but sometimes they just slip through, people don't realize what they're doing.
The planning board doesn't.
Planning
do
board
that?
doesn't realize it.
Wow,
This was property that was purchased a long time ago. Excuse me, by a father of someone, purchased the land. I'm not sure why he purchased it. He passed away. His daughter and son-in-law, and they found out it was landlocked. They said this, so they didn't spend anything for it either. The father-in-law did, but they had no use for it.
well, I have a parcel in Canaan now where the couple just bought the parcel within the last year that's landlocked.
Mhm.
And they had bought it in good faith and they paid 6 figures for it and it's landlocked.
Mm.
So I think that's a lawsuit though,
Yeah, some, maybe.
because they
Because
can't build on it, right? So,
I think this person who bought this property was hoping to get access from the property owner, and he wouldn't.
give the easement. Okay, a condition provided for,
What's that?
condition provided for.
Okay, all right. Move on.
And there are some formatting errors in there that I'll correct before these get posted. There's no entire blank page under investment and deposit.
Well, that was one of my questions.
Yeah,
Did I
that's
miss
just,
again today?
You wanted to put in the cryptocurrency.
yeah. So procurement, I think is the biggest question. There's two different versions in here. The first one is basically, Jim Briggs sent over the county's procurement policy. And I edited this where it made sense to edit it, to make it make sense for land banks, but it was all. There are a lot of references to general municipal law that I pulled out, but there are a lot of references to things that a land bank is never going to purchase, right? Public utilities and all these things. So the second version of the procurement policy is a pretty typical land bank procurement policy. The question I've got is, do we want to just take the dollar thresholds from the goods and services of the county and swap those out with the land bank thresholds? So basically the land bank policy, but with county dollar limits. To me, that's the cleanest fix, but I'm open to other
Actually,
suggestions.
I always have issues with the county's, dollar amount, because they're pretty low.
I think that the real issue here is we're restricted on, under our management contract as what we can, spend and approve.
Yeah, right.
So you're gonna see it before
Gonna hit it.
anybody
Yeah.
is committed to pay it.
Right.
And I know under the ABO policies, for IDAs and local development corporations, you know, I think it's, up to $2,000 can be done in-house.
Yeah.
Between, 2 and 5, it's gotta have 3 oral quotes,
Okay,
and above that, it's gotta have 3 written quotes. And,
so that's there as a minimum anyway, right?
yeah, so is that what you put in, Chris?
Yeah, so what we've got 3. So we've got here is under selection of outside contractors, you do it on a competitive basis. Unless it's going to be under 1,500, then you can just ask someone who knows how to do it, Or you can
If you
do this
could do it
for
at
below
2,000,
1,500.
that meets Mike's thing, then that makes it better,
Yeah, and if it's anything over 1,500, you've got to get 3 competitive proposals, and then anything over 10,000 is when you put the RFP out. So those are the 3 triggers really. So below 1,500, we can just do it. 1,500 to 10,000, you ask for 3 proposals.
You might wanna make
10,000
it 1,500, 2,500, or whatever
Yeah.
our limit is.
Right, that's what I would
I
say,
think it's
move that up a little bit.
Okay,
If yours is
So we'll just
2,000,
have that
2,500.
Cause you just,
Yeah.
the bad part is you're putting some, poor vendor in you're having to go through the,
Yeah.
and then you tell 2 of them no, and then the
Right.
next time they don't wanna work with you.
Well, you just annoy people by calling around for
Yeah.
places, that's,
I mean, it's good to get 2.
yeah.
So does an RFP require a sealed bid? I'm getting dinged for that right now because we did an RFP, but we didn't require sealed bids. And I was told that this was a general municipal law.
we did, my experience with that is almost entirely for demolitions. They were all sealed.
Now, it was related to monetary amounts. It's in another area, but it was just related to monetary amounts. I mean, we complied with our town procurement policy and we got 3 bids, but I was told that that was not legal.
Yeah, I
because
think
it's
there's
sealed.
we. Just trying to think, we just raised ours in our town because it was ridiculously low.
Mhm.
But we went like 3,000 for a normal contract, over 3,000, you had to get at least 2 bids. Over 5,000 for a public works, you had to get at least 2 bids. And then there's a threshold, I think, it was over 10,000, Ron,
Mhm.
you had to get,
Public works.
you had to put it out. 3 bids and, we put it out for written bid or.
But you can do, I mean, I've done some smaller jobs that are $3,000 and you ask for sealed bids, because that's how you handle it, that's just how I've done it, but I don't know that that's a requirement.
Okay, so I'll follow through on that. but
I think
just-
you could do it another way,
Because I don't equate the 2. To me, 3
Right.
bids is not necessarily 3 sealed bids.
right? Yeah,
And I
know of
kind
any
of,
law
I
that-
kind of agree with that, that it doesn't have to be sealed.
no, I don't think it has to, I don't have any law that says that, I've just done it sometimes, but,
Well, if I ever use this bidder again, I will too, because he's cranky about it.
okay, yeah.
He was concerned that his bid was gonna be shared with someone else. That's the reason he wanted to be opened at one time.
Well, once it's open, they can be shared, so.
Right. but- yeah, it's
Well, the
public
bids are already
information.
in there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so what are we doing? We're
I think we're just
raising the
gonna
amounts.
Yeah, so we actually
Okay.
have, those amounts are described in the contract that CDC and the land bank have, so we'll
Right.
just. Edit the amounts to reflect those thresholds.
So we're gonna use the land bank.
Second,
yeah.
Right, okay. I think it's more applicable.
Then I'm gonna, well. We can pull those 2 out and then do consent on the other 3.
Yep.
Okay. I guess it's not consent anymore, we talked about that. All right, so we will table, that'll have to be emotions. So table disposition and procurement, I'll bring those back next month, we'll wrap those up, and then the other three we can vote on right now.
So I'll make a motion to do enforcement and compliance, freedom of information procedures and investment and deposit policies.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thanks for all the work on this.
Yeah, and then we
You need a motion to table,
table the other two.
motion to table the other two policies.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right.
AGO compliance.
So we talked a little bit about it. The big piece for you guys, since this takes up some of your time, is the ABO board member training. There are 2 dates between now and the end of March. They're March 12th and March 19th.
But you have 2 years to do it, don't you?
Yeah, you've got some time.
Not this one. He wants to be the first of everything.
He wasn't gonna tell us that, he wanted.
I believe,
The good news is it says it's an hour and a half and it's not.
yeah, it doesn't take that long.
Have you sent us a link?
I have not.
At the register, where you can.
Oh, okay.
I believe
it's
they
an
are.
online.
No,
type thing.
it's fully online. Well, you gotta have access to a phone according to their website.
Really?
Yeah, which is news to me. Oh, yeah, I don't know about that one.
You're gonna send us the link?
I will send you the link. The times I believe are 9:30 to 11. That is true. So Wednesday, March 12th, 9:30 to 11, and Wednesday, March 19th, 9:30 to 11.
Will this suffice for our tobacco securitization training?
I hope so.
And then that's it for ABO compliance. And we talked about the reports that are due. I've got some of the reports done. I just need to be able to access the public, what is it called? Public Authority Reporting Information
Paris.
System, Paris,
Or portal thing.
which requires your signature, which I'm sending something down to Rob this week. So I've got most of the reports ready to go. I just need to be able to access the actual database, and then I can upload everything. We'll be all set. That's all I have for official business.
Any public comments?
I don't think anyone's on.
Oh, you're gonna be here the whole hour. It's so bright.
You want to stay in here because it's warm, pretty warm.
We had the last meeting.
Better than outside.
So we gotta cut this one in half.
If there are no public comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion again.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Full meeting.
So.